All right, on the other side we have, looks like blue-white-red Delver, the Geist of St. Traft version with Stoneforge Mystic package in tow. So, pretty good. Punishing Fire is usually pretty good against these decks. Kills Delver, Stoneforge, and Grim Lavamancer. Doesn't deal with Geist straight up, but it's also just very hard for them to deal with from a controlling perspective.
Joshua Hoffeld has a Thalia in play. He's actually running 4 Thalias.
That is a lot.
That is a lot of Thalias, yeah, and it's obviously a fantastic card against Blue-White Red Delver. However, Stoneforge Mystic gives this deck one angle to attack through a Thalia with pretty easily, which is Stoneforge for Batterskull, as we see here.
Something that has been a major player, if not format defining, for quite a while, basically since it was printed.
Yeah.
The Stoneforge Mystic package, including Umezawa's Jute and Batterskull, sometimes swords thrown in for value, maybe some Manriki Gusaris for the mirror. Stoneforge Mystic is one powerful spell.
Oh yeah, I wish Manriki Gusari would get played some more.
We saw one earlier today.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, how lucky.
Manriki Hayashi Gusari.
Joshua plays Cavern on Human and drops an uncounterable Knight of the Reliquary. He has a backup Thalia in his hand as well. This game looks like it's going to be a little tough for Steven, even though he has Stoneforge for Batterskull. Knight can pretty quickly outpace that. Yeah,
you're going to have to deal with the Knight naturally. You know, you can't fight through a Knight of the Reliquary by traditional means. You have to deal with it straight up, and it doesn't look like he has the Swords to Plowshares. He has 3 main deck, probably the 4th in the board. Yep, 4th in the board, a couple submerges as well. So a few ways to deal with it, but none at the ready.
Yeah, he also has Relic of Progenitus if he feels like really getting dirty. I can see
like
him
Relic
bringing
Bolt
that against Punishing Fire and Knight.
Yeah.
These are reasonable options.
Absolutely.
Joshua Hoffeld does not have the Tower of the Magistrate. That would be the sicko blowout here. Tower of the Magistrate, for those not in the know, a land that can effectively remove equipment by giving creatures protection from artifacts.
That was some cool tech when it first came out.
That was some cool tech back 3 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, when Maverick was first jumping on the scene.
Yeah. Steven's sitting on a hand mostly of Batterskull and reactive cards. That Knight of the Reliquary is probably going to start doing some very boss-like things very soon. I don't think... Ooh, he attacks into the Batterskull. This is one of the few ways Steven can actually kill it is by, blocking and then bolting.
Yeah, he's gonna have to spend a full card in the form of the bolt and a lot of mana, not really a card. So this might be just a tempo gainer. It's also possible that Joshua has an answer for the Batterskull token, like a Swords to Plowshares of his own.
That would mean he probably drew it, because otherwise it seems likely he'd have Swords the Stoneforge.
Yes, of course.
Outright immediately. He cracks his fetch line to make his Knight a 5/5 so that it won't die in just the trade to the Germ token.
A strong play.
Yeah, I agree that that's probably correct.
Lifelink going to give him a little padding. And is Steven going to finish it off?
Looks like Joshua has a choke. So this play was a bait play.
Wow.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Wow. Just wanted to get those manas tapped so they could get this choke through.
And presumably he's going to have to tap one more because this has to be bolt on the Knight, right?
Yeah, otherwise
you're dead anyway. Yeah.
I don't know if you think you can just beat a Knight of the Reliquary this far when you're this far behind. It looks like the choke is resolving. He needs to pay a 4th mana for that choke, though.
Yes, there is a Thalia in play that is a symmetrical effect. But there is choke, one of the most powerful hate cards of all time in Magic history. Islands do not untap during their controllers' untap phases.
Yeah, it's outright rude.
Yeah,
I think.
It's quite impolite.
As someone who really likes islands, gotta be honest, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. They really used to make some vicious hate cards.
Yeah, they weren't messing around back in the day.
Like, what was the Compost?
Compost was rude,
Yeah, that was not fair at all.
Compost, Karma. Looking at Steven's deck list, he has a Plateau, so he can actually fetch up a land that untaps under choke, which is more than many of these blue-red decks can say. But beyond that, unless he draws his Singleton Wear Tear, all of his islands just became one use only.
Oof, and he did have to bolt the Knight of the Reliquary, tapping 2 for that Thalia, locking out yet another land. Now, Wasteland can give him colorless that can untap, but how far is that really going to get you?
Not far.
Not very far, likely. Those do not untap, sir.
We'll also want to keep in mind that Steven can use Daze to pick up an island and turn it back on.
Yeah, use it as a land drop.
Yeah. Even if Punishing Maverick should, play an uncountable human, it still might very much be worthwhile. But not in this case. Steven picks it up against the choke, and we're off to game 3.
That is definitely one way to win a game of Magic.
Yeah.
Just play a very powerful targeted hate card.
Game of Magic is one way to describe it. Oh, so Joshua looks like just reviewing some of his sideboarding choices. Let's take a look at what some of those choices might be. He actually has a pretty interesting sideboard. He is packing the 2 choke that we saw. He also has, among the sideboard cards, 2 Peacekeeper, a Bajuka Bog, a Life from the Loam, 2 Wiltleaf Liege, an Enlightened Tutor, a Gaddock Teague, 2 Glow Rider. Jeez, this guy loves his Thalias.
I was going to say, is Glow Rider's the...
It's 3 mana, 2/1 Thalia, no first strike.
Yeah.
No legend, yeah.
Well, everything costs 1 more, right?
Is it everything? I thought it was just spells. Okay.
I think it's everything.
I think you're right. It is Sphere of Resistance, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned it. And then 2 Aethersworn Canvas and a Sigarda Host of Herons. So, wow, Joshua with a pretty aggressive anti-tempo plan here. He just makes all their spells cost more. And then he chokes them. Armageddon's all of their land. That's not very polite.
That's actually a pretty awesome 1-2 punch there.
Yeah.
On the other side, Steven Rosenthal, if it wasn't already in, he's gonna want to bring in that Wear Tear. He also has the couple Submerges, the 4th Swords, the Plowshares. Probably bring back in some number of forces if he boarded those out. Mm-hmm. Choke is a pretty important one to counter. And he has Engineered Explosives as a 1-of, which is probably in his deck, kills Mother of Runes and whatnot. Yeah. And theoretically, you can preempt a choke with it by 3, or, just
that
make sure that you leave.
Night, so I think that's fine. Yeah. I think putting Engineering Explosives into play on 3 is a pretty reasonable line in this matchup.
Yeah.
The danger obviously being, you can get into an awkward spot with your own Geistes draft, but beyond that, the fact that it kills 2 of the best cards in your opponent's deck, Knight of the Reliquary and Choke, seems totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do? Kasali Pride Mage it? And it's like, all right, I still traded, you still spent 3 mana for my 3 mana spell, and they had to they had to spend a card in the Kasali Pride Mage. So I think that might be an option worth exploring. And then he also has a Sword of Feast and Famine, mostly for the green-black decks, probably not coming in here.
Yeah, it's not really that effective against Maverick decks because of the access they have to Mother of Runes, which all by itself can brick wall Sword of Feast and Famine, even assuming that the card's effects were worthwhile to begin with.
Right, which is often not the case.
Yeah, often not the case.
So let's see, Steven Rosenthal going to play this game. Can he get the clock out early that he can then ride through a choke or preempt a choke? He does have a couple Spell Pierces, maybe those are coming back in. They do hit Zenith and any random equipment that's cast.
Yep.
That's it, right? There's no Thought Seizes. This is the punishing version.
Yeah, that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah, so maybe those aren't good. Just trying to think of ways that you can sort of have not dead cards, but also outs to choke.
Yeah, it's difficult, honestly. Joshua does have access to 1 Enlightened Tutor. A lot of these Maverick deck lists frequently run as many as 2 or even 3, running a lot of enchantment bullets in their sideboards.
Yeah.
So his list is unique in that he looks to be adding it basically as a supplementary choke that can also help him find a piece of equipment if he really needs it. Or Sylvan Library, which is very powerful in a number of matchups.
It looks like he has choke and Canonist to find, but normally, as you say, they have 3 to 4, maybe 5, targeted hate cards that are artifacts or enchantments, and then the 1 Enlightened Tutor playing as the second copy of all of those cards. This is just using it as a 3rd copy of Choke, a 2nd copy of Canonist that can also be an Umzawa's Jite if you want it to.
Steven mulling to 5, I believe, here on camera. And I've clarified Glow Rider, by the way. It's non-creature spells cost 1 more.
It is?
So it's a little bit of both.
A little bit from A, a little bit from B. Yeah. That means that makes Planeswalkers cost 1 more?
Does.
Wow.
It does.
I didn't even know what a Planeswalker was.
What is that? It's coming down too soon.
Yeah, looks like it is 5 from the play.
And some Jitte, some lands, Stoneforge Mystic, and he has the Batter Skull
Mm,
and
that
the
is-
Jitte. Jeez.
That is awkward to have both of your equipments and the Stoneforge Mystic. The Stoneforge Mystic failed to find. Go.
Steven declines, I believe declines to play a Delver on turn 1.
Doesn't want to get wastelanded. Wants to
Yeah.
get his Stoneforge in play. That's reasonable.
Draws the land he needs to do that, Plateau, and searches up Tundra. And
Oh, he
finds
does.
Sword of Peace and
He
Famine.
does have a third piece of equipment.
Yeah, he's
All
got
right.
there. I kind of figured he must if he keeps this hand, but
Well, on 5, you have to keep it anyway.
that's fair, I guess.
If he kept this on 7, it's like, all right, he definitely has something else to find. But on 5,
Yeah.
it's just like, all right, Squire,
Let's
do it up. Man, I sure hope you live so I can cheat this Batter Skull in. And it looks like it's going to.
Steven draws a Stifle. Joshua holding off on a fetch land might get punished by it. Steven probably just has to drop in Batter Skull and
I would think
start
so.
getting to work, but
Well, although a Wasteland from Joshua just
that might
drawn.
merit a Stifle.
Yeah, that might be worth stifling. Although he could also think, my lands are probably going to get choked anyway.
Joshua does have a choke. He
Yep.
can actually turn to it right now. He could do it right now. God, I'm sure it's so tempting. I bet he wants to so bad.
He can actually do it. This is turn 3, so he can
this is
actually.
turn 3, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
so he can actually do it like through a daze. Although we don't see any dazes, but
Goes for the Wasteland on Island. Steven responds, and now I'm sure he's just going to jam the choke, right? Like, even though it doesn't directly beat the Batter Skull, it's just really good.
why did he waste the Tundra and not the Plateau?
I imagine to prevent future dazings and cut off his blue cards. Why would you waste the Plateau over the Tundra?
Because it doesn't get choked.
That's fair, I suppose.
I mean, you might as well get him to 0 lands,
If he's not
right?
planning to cast choke, then I think that this line makes
Yes, I
makes
agree with that
sense.
much. It looks like he's going to Sylvan Library, potentially. Which is also reasonable because Sylvan Library will help you dig to answers to the Batter Skull, which
Yeah.
is obviously the threat at hand at this point in the game.
Yeah, if he can get 3 red sources into play, he can actually let the Batter Skull kind of answer itself with a Punishing Fire.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest interactions
Yeah.
I've seen in Legacy in a long time. And it looks like it is Sylvan Library coming down. And he passes turn. Steven quickly draws, attacks, and passes. No land.
Yeah, plenty of equipment, though. We know that much.
Yes.
Sylvan finds him a Grove and some other stuff.
And 2 other magical cards.
Yeah, he has Fetchland, Punishing Fire already in his hand, so that is the 3rd red, but it's going to be the long way to get it, and he obviously needs to interact a little faster than that.
Yes, you would think so. All right, let's see how many he takes. Just 1.
Just the Grove.
Just the natural draw.
Yeah, I like that. None of those cards seem super high impact. You want to save that for life for a spot where you might really get to use it.
Yeah. I mean, it's another full turn from the Batter Skull,
Yeah.
or another full card at another point with the Sylvan Library.
Looks like Joshua has access to Green Sun Zenith, and he can go ahead and just jam that right now for a Knight of the Reliquary if he.
You can also
fetches.
just get Kasali Pride Mage and kill the Batter Skull.
That's fair too. I like Knight of the Reliquary.
Although I would certainly crack the fetch first.
That way you don't have to worry about getting sword
If this
splashed
gets
or bolted.
Bolted or plowed in response.
Oh, doesn't.
All
have
right,
it.
does not have it.
Woo.
That little out of order sequencing there could have really come back to bite him.
Yeah.
But Steven does not have the necessary removal spell to punish him.
I find it interesting Joshua's deciding to go for basics here instead of searching up duels. Like, I would feel pretty not scared of Wasteland. My opponent's on Plateau Stoneforge. Is he really gonna just strip Wasteland both of us, basically? Like,
Yeah, that is fair.
I think I'd be fine with it, especially when he has more lands in his hand. That's a favorable attrition war for him.
Yeah. Yeah, like sometimes if I keep land heavy openers, I'll lead with duels instead of fetches, hoping that they wasteland me.
Yeah.
And it's sort of that principle in action in
I do that
a later
all
turn.
the time. Especially if I'm playing a Death Red Shaman, then it's even better.
Yeah.
That's the game I like to call, like, how bold are you? Just wasteland into Death Red Shaman. Takes a lot of cojones.
It does. I like to call that game, what hand did you think I kept?
That's a good name for that game, too. Joshua taking a massive lead here. He untaps with Mother of Runes, Punishing Fire, Stoneforge Mystic away. Steven has Plateau, That casts literally 8 spells in his entire deck.
Yeah.
It's not good.
He's about to get choked out as well, and punishing Grove.
Choke's on him. He doesn't have any islands.
He played.
Doesn't care.
Yes, Steven masterfully played around choke this game by not having a single island in play. But there's the hand, and Joshua Hoffeld will move on to 7-1. Punishing Maverick.
Yeah.
We've seen a couple Maverick decks today.